Bluesky is a new generation of decentralized social media platform. Nowadays, users close their accounts in X, that is, their account on Twitter with their previous name. Bluesky and Mastodon have initiated digital migration to networks. X's user data in its previous name. Twitter has a large wave of closure of accounts as a result of reporting information to states, especially the authoritarian administrations. And the transitions to Bluesky continue. Of course, users naturally have a confusion. Now we're going to Bluesky, but there are those who think about the same things there. Or there is only one who thinks that they are choosing between the applications of different companies. He is the founder of the old Twitter. In fact, Bluesky is not an ordinary social media platform, but can monitor how users can share, carry out their data through a horizontal architecture. In fact, this platform offers them the possibility of algorithm of the social media they use, and that they can go forward enough to enable them to be written from the beginning. Of course, the Bluesky is not a profit-free institution, but also as the center that coordinates company communities. It should not be forgotten that it is to reach the big profits that guide here. In this case, the communities in the future. The merger of DeFi and crypto wallets with this application thanks to convincing ads by commissioning or the Horse protocol running in the background. Not impossible. They can establish an anonymous economy in the future as anonymously through social media. In these financial processes, users themselves are not only social communication. In financial transactions, it can actually enable them to establish relationships with each other through this practice. Of course, this can actually bring a serious income to Bluesky through commissions. What needs to be understood here is that when you switch from X to Bluesky, you will not only have changed an application. I repeat, as users and developers based on user freedom, we are talking about where to keep the data from the algorithm of social media to policy. Our chances of deciding up to many things are possible with these technologies today. This is the IP address and other personal with people we don't want. It means that information cannot be shared with any authority. A company in Bluesky is, after all, but they are only responsible for those who want to use their special servers. Users can work like independent servers. For this, the security, control, and transport authority on our data is actually thanks to these servers. This federative can be connected to the web world through the structure established. In the following sections of this video, we will actually examine and see in more detail through the application itself. Innovative social media companies do not only enrich the user's data on their central servers and with advertising trade through them. At the same time, the society needs to be controlled. They also cooperate with authoritarian administrations for censorship and manipulation. We should not forget them. In this sense, the minority that keeps users' data in one center. Oligarchized capitalists against the freedom of users to the center of the technology and applications to introduce you from the eyes of a software developer decided to shoot videos. Anyway, if you are ready without further ado, let's start together. When we entered the Bluesky social, the Welcome to the Social Internet slogan was released directly. This slogan caught my attention here, because he's not just saying social media here. Social Internet also says, when we come true, there is a statement that actually opened this slogan here. Social media is too important to be under the control of several companies. The future of social internet together. He says we are creating a clear basis for us to shape. Now, when we think about it here, the application we actually use is only a social media practice itself. Rather, the horse protocol is actually a faster spousal protocol that can work like blockchain on the more advanced internet. We see, now, when we say login and sign, the screen that everyone sees directly welcomes us. We still haven't opened a new account on this screen. We did not enter either, but now we see users' shares. If we want to like it, of course, a pop-up greeted us with a pop-up. If I pay attention, if I say create account here immediately, it shows Bluesky social for account. If you want, I will change this directly, and my own problem can enter and register here. When I do this, now this record, that is, all my information will be on my data server from private PDs. Of course, for now, because I have no such PD, I use the server directly by Bluesky Social here, and I am logging out here for now. I'm entering my password. Yes, after logging in, such a page welcomes us. On this page, what I follow, or the algorithm about this account I have opened for now. I see the proposals of random or perhaps the regional algorithm. Because the work I follow or registered for now. There is no one for this video. I already opened this account. Now here when we enter the settings section of the settings meets us in mini work. Let's keep the security from the moderation. And account information. When we enter this account information, there is an area called export my data. From here, if I share all my content or interactions, likes, everything. If I want to back up this account as a whole, I can quickly back up here. And then when there is any problem again, I can use it again when my information is likely to disappear. Yes, I'm still in Bluesky server for now, but let's say something happened. If the account has been suspended or if there was any situation, I can activate my account again on a different username. Words taken quietly here on the server. Labels have moderation list and quiet accounts. There are even blocked accounts. Why do they seem like this here? What is what we call a moderation list? For example, when we come here, of course, he wants me to give my email. I give it to him immediately. Yes, I got an email. Of course, I'm dating here. Was given. When I say new here, the list asks the name. I entered my list for the list. I don't have to enter anything in the description part. I did this. It is registered and I can actually add new people here for now. Let's say who should I add? I wrote Alex. Let's see who came out. Alexandra. This is an American politician. Democrats. For example, I added this. I shot it right now. Yes, this came here. What does this mean? If you pay attention, a subscribe came out here. If you want to follow the feature here, I can take this list and share it directly, and now I actually gave me this as a link, and I can share it if you pay attention to this way. What does this mean? This is actually my list, so this list can be shared with others. Others can register for it. They can follow what I have added to this moderation. They can follow the same things themselves. What does it lead to? In fact, users will be blocked through this system, who should be followed, in fact announcement, with each other through them as a subscribe. And it is actually aimed at an impact on decision-making processes within some system. Apart from that, if you want to chat in the chat section, any person. So you may not be the person you are a member of or follow. I wrote Alex. If you pay attention, Alexandra Cortez won't let me reach him, because I will probably be on his list or follow him, etc. He doesn't know that right now. But Alex gives me a setting that any user can write to me because someone allows me. I got into this. I guess you can't see it right now. Let's see. At the bottom, yes, if you can't see it right now, there is a message section at the bottom. I can send direct messages from the message section. In the profile section, as you will be familiar with Twitter, if there are posts I have written, they will appear. They call it the media. And my whole list, So my list I have followed, my list. Visible people can enter and follow this list, can see it, can expand, it can spread themselves. There is no limit to this. You can quickly change the profile picture here and the cover picture here. Another part is the export. Your accounts that you can make a trip to your interests are actually presented to you by this system. There are accounts and posts. You can follow them. Here you can look for areas that will interest you or find people. When we come to the home page, there are those who are followed here in videos. The use is quite simple, but in terms of functioning, it is not as simple as we think, and as I said, we will basically explain the background of it. How will the system safe with this training protocol? Coming, how users integrate their servers and personally with users who are independent of this system but like the other. He can communicate and share content. We will talk about this. To understand decentralized systems such as Bluesky and Mastodon, we understand the difference between these stages called Web 2, Web 2, Web 3. As we said in the video at first, it describes itself as a social internet. But what is built in terms of a future? Is it just a technological development? When we pay attention to the Webby 0 here, as you can understand from the symbol, so only users are in the role of readers and are connected to a single center. When we are in a zero world of web, consider the periods in which we are connected to 50-6 caps rapidly. We were just reading something. We were looking at something, but it was very weak. So besides being involved in them, the bands we will install are very weak webs. There are central servers, but there is no single central server. We had the chance to reach different central servers. There is still 2.0 actively used webs. We are interacting between each other. It was produced from the ground. We can only read these produced content. Here we can now produce content and share with each other. We can affect each other. We're not just looking at whatever is published on the central server. If the WebR is at 0, in fact, there is no single central server here as the web is above the 2 zeros. There is a world where the spouses work between themselves. That is, spouses work like a server, and in this world, a full horizontal stages of verticals are intertwined. Read, summer, and have it. You broadcast this. May it be under your control. You change. Rules Google, Amazons with large data holders. These are not determined by their clouds. You too, hungry, use and secure these servers. Yes, what is the education protocol? The training protocol is actually a clinicalized transfer protocol. This is in the social media structure of Bluesky, a protocol that recognizes the center of the building as a structure. So in short, different social media applications. An open and decentralized protocol that allows it to work in harmony with each other. Of course, with the special identities and names of the user. This enables the protocol to work without being connected to an application owner. What features do it have? As it actually stated here, it actually means an account. You can move your account to different applications without any problems. It's like carrying a document on flash disk. When what we call algorithm becomes transparent, what kind of application do we use? Who develops the back of this? Who develops the front? How is it being developed? Can you intervene in this? Do we decide? You see them. You are also starting to see how the algorithm works. What is determined by the actual rules of the algorithm, and you are in community and your power to influence it. Of course, if you think that more than one application can work on one network, in a simple way, many people. The server is like blockchain Aga to be involved in this network by establishing a presentation, making himself anonymous, and decentralized blockchain Aga. But there is no such thing as a blockchain system that is every sinner. there is cryptography behind that. So our data is in certain places. It is actually with hashes with cryptography. Transfers are generally used during the process, and so on. In other words, this identity should be verified that transfer protocol that we call the real training protocol. A social media application is something necessary to improve both. In other words, do not think if we have to be used in Bluesky this training protocol. We take this training protocol and take our own social media. In fact, we can enable us to establish and use it as if you use a library without any technical sense, without dependent on any structure. Let's say I'm Bluesky Social. I don't want to use the PD, the customized server, but I don't have any technical knowledge to set up my own server. What will I do in this situation? They do not have to make themselves customized only when opening the server. I open the server. I can open this server to everyone. Everyone can be connected to each other via this server. This is actually described in the structure of this must-do. But I show this here because it is an example to tell Bluesky. Here we see that there is a network model that we call federative. Here I am opening a server. He's connecting to mine. My server is broadcasting. But of course, all this person's information is the entire person's registration. If it happened, my server is connected to this network. So let's say something happened that my server failed. I did not save my data, suddenly closed. It goes that if they did not back up this information, by the way, because they can back up this information. Look, here is a social media platform like Mastodon's own system, while in the meantime Mastodon to Bluesky. If you pay attention, there are a lot of servers like this. You can enter and register from one of these servers, and you can use it. In fact, this will be for Bluesky. You can keep a list of such a server for Van. And I haven't seen a system that they can easily log in and direct the user. But as I showed at the beginning, if you have your own server, you can integrate there and log in there. You know that the users I have mentioned before are also found in GitHub about the writing of their algorithm. You can see it is open source of everything in the background of the enhancements in the interface of Bluesky's interface. Here, too, he actually talks about the creation of the user's own algorithm and the publication of this as a feed. Describes how to do it here with codes. Of course, this is a very nice thing. When I identify how a feed should behave as a user and publish it as a feed at the same time. And when users like this algorithm and subscribe, this algorithm can actually be the most commonly used. So this is a business. Following the publication of Elon Musk's likes, what the masses say, how they feel, and how they determine how they start to be much more exciting. Indeed, as our users, it shows that the possibilities that can enable this work itself to be reproduced and managed from the beginning still appears. I think this is not only a new technology and understanding, but also as our users, it will be able to reproduce and manage it from the beginning. It shows that the possibilities still appear in the presentation. I think this is a new step of a social development. Because people want everything to be transparent. At least he wants democracy. Most importantly, they want to be free. Because, as you can see in our country, we pass through an intense censorship and pressure period. In the world in this, that is, the great financial oligarchs quickly take control. As they come out, they want to rule everything, manipulate everything, create speculation. They don't show what needs to be shown. This is actually the safety of such platforms, especially among themselves, and the safety of the data. Shows that there are opportunities that can be controlled. Do not only think of it as a job done by some protocols on social media or on the internet. because artificial intelligence itself distributed. No one of the nets distributed, the OpenAI, Google, the models trained on their servers without distributed in a distributed use of different users through the blockchain network. It has revealed the possibilities of educating such models to create such artificial intelligence. Here are many people like ByteDance, and even many processors, such as rendering. Without the need for any NVIDIA, without the need for a server, or without the need for different expensive chips, because we all have a computer and when we share not only our data but also our processor forces. In fact, if we have information together, the intermediary enduring different we can produce new technologies without need. We can share them among each other and make it very safe. I hope we will continue the videos like this, of course, depending on the future comments and requests.